Take five. Fifth time I'm doing this video. I was burned out today, right? And I think I know why. The drive to the Meadows, if you guys remember back last year in the winter, I always wanted to, I leave at night, right? I'd leave at night, come and stay here at night at the hotel, get here at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of people are like, why wouldn't you just get up early in the morning and go? This is why. I don't like driving in the early morning. I can get up. I have no problem getting up. But the drive to the Meadows, when you got to get up at 6, have a shower, get a shave, and then drive to the Meadows. All the Starbucks in the world. Still, I get here and I'm tired. Today I stopped and got a Red Bull at 11:30. I was fine, but that drive is just it's frustrating for me, and I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. Now, probably the fact that White Tiger raced poorly last night compounded that. I was waiting for the veterinarian to get back to me and tell me exactly why. He raced poorly. We usually scope them after the race. There's no scope there last night. For whatever reason, I have no idea. Maybe it's not feasible for them to be there all the time. I have no idea. But the veterinarian was not there last night to scope. So we didn't get him scoped. And it was bugging me. So I'm waiting. It kept me up a little bit last night. So maybe I didn't get a great sleep. And then, of course, a little rub it in a little bit. Salt in the wounds. Eglariam busted her hobbles when she made her break. Now, somebody asked, did she break and bust the hobbles? That's a great question. I don't know. James didn't know. I don't think so. This filly's on a roll right now, and James said she felt really, really good. He said, in my mind, I felt a pop. And you can feel when the hobbles break, you know it right away. He said, I felt that pop, and then she made a break. So I don't want to say that she made a break and then broke them. I don't know. I'm going to say no. And what she'll do sometimes is put a step in, and then her next step in the trotting hobbles, they'll grab into her a little bit. And I think with the weather the way it was, it's cold. Listen, I looked at those hobbles Wednesday for this very reason. I always check the hobbles. I looked at the hobbles on Wednesday that she had trained in, those hobbles, and they were fine. So it's not like somebody dropped the ball. I was completely fine with what I saw midweek when we trained her. I think she just put that step in with the weather being it is. She's a strong filly, a very strong filly, and I think just the torque alone snapped the hobbles. So, Tiger raced bad, and then Eglariam broke her hobbles. I didn't have a good night. None of us did. Northfield wasn't horrible. Stonebridge Simba was flat, but again, when it rains hard like this, these tracks, you say, oh, they race in the mud. It's not really the mud. When it rains hard, the track gets really hard and the water sits on top. And it can be a little sore for the horses. So a horse like Stonebridge Simba that's just coming off a quarter crack last week, who has, sore feet to begin with, tough night for him. And he just didn't look like he was out of sorts. He didn't look good. Horse that did look good was Compass Rose DC. Billy got away last. I'm like, oh my God, Compass Rose DC hates getting away last. And then he just looked like a canoe on a river with no oars. He just kind of followed the flow, and then out he popped, and she trotted forward and raced great. So she ended up with a great trip, and I like the versatility from Mr. Davis. We did a lot of driving together over the last decade, him and I. Not so much the last 4 or 5 years, but from 2010 to 2015, Billy Davis and I raced every day against each other. Very aggressive drivers, both of us. But it was very interesting to see how he drove that filly last night. So a great drive by him. It worked out well, and she raced well. Stonebridge Simba, a little flat, but he always bounces back. And then Brenda's horse raced well also in Amazon Dragon. Then, obviously, White Tiger and Eglariam was a terrible night in the pouring rain for me. I like Tiger, and obviously Amy loves Tiger, and Tiger's a little tricky. So, not as tricky anymore. But I thought that I should go drive him. I wish I hadn't have now, but I felt I should have at the time. I knew in the post braid he was going to be no good. I've told you guys before, when he feels really grabby and hot in the post braid, and you kind of got to work to settle him down, that's when he's real good. When he comes out in the track and he plots along, I knew he was no good in the post braid. So we didn't get to scope him last night. We had to wait till today. So I'm waiting for the vet to call me. She calls, said, a little bit of mucus, a little bit of blood in his throat. And you might say, well, he had Lasix. Lasix isn't a miracle drug. It helps. It's, as the vet said last week, the gold standard of bleeding medication in horse racing. But, when you do have a horse with mucus, it puts a lot of strain on the lungs and on the throat. And the horse looked fine. He had a great week from what I've been told from Cindy. But obviously, under all of that exterior, at the finer points of the horse, he wasn't 100% last night and sprung a little bit of a leak. Now, a little weird thing happened last week. I'm getting really angry this year with the amount of horses that had bled a little bit. And I asked the vet to do a throat wash on the horse and see if there's bacteria in there that they can culture. Something's going on with some of these horses. And he did find an abnormally high amount of bacteria in High Gear No Fear's throat. Where did it come from? Was it environmental? Was it hay? Was it feed? Was it, just bacteria? Don't know. But we're going to get to the bottom of it. They're waiting for the cultures to come back to see what it's sensitive to, but they started him on a broad spectrum antibiotic to begin with, Genocin, and we started White Tiger on the exact same antibiotic today. So, again, without doing the same throat wash, I can't tell you that there's something going on in the same way. All I can tell you is we're treating them both the same way. Now, today I get up, as I said, real torturous drive here. I was really, really tired when I got here. Drank a Red Bull to wake up. Just a long day, and the weather too. I hate the rain, and I'm worried the whole way here. It's raining. For the most part, I missed the rain all day, so I'm lucky in that regard. Got here and was really treated to some good racing. Walk on the Moon. Quite frankly, I need everybody to understand, when we entered these horses in Harrisburg at the deadline, at the last minute, it was 6-7 weeks ago, Walk on the Moon was not racing good and certainly did not look like a horse that was going to be a productive 4-year-old. He looked like the horse that had reached his peak. He was a mediocre 3-year-old, much like Mama Knows Best. I'm a Lovely Lady. Those types of horses, there's nothing wrong with that. They're useful horses, but they've reached their limit. I don't want to race them in a 10 claimer. I have no interest in putting them in claimers. They're worth a lot more than that. And they'll do somebody some good somewhere. But for what we're trying to accomplish here, it's just not us. And I know a lot of people are questioning why I'm doing this. And you have to understand that Mama Knows Best is worth $35,000, $32,000-ish right now. Same as One My Heart Hanover. Same as probably Tanzanite Tricks. I'm a Lovely Lady. A little bit more handy, maybe a little bit more, and then Tipsy and Dixie's worth quite a bit more than all of them. Somewhere in between, or maybe a little bit more now, was Walk on the Moon. Now those horses, when they've found out, when people find out what I believe, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I was wrong about Harness AM. She's racing great. But for the most part, I am right when it comes to our horses. There's not a lot for them after that. They're going to find themselves into a claimer. So I don't want to turn down $32,000 from Mama Knows Best when I believe in another few months she may end up being worth a lot less. That's what it comes down to. You may not agree with that, you may not like that, but it's my decision, and I believe that that is the right course moving forward. Now, when it came to Walk on the Moon, as I said, he looked very ordinary all summer. After the race in Ottawa, he looked bionic. I was very impressed with him. And then he bled, then he didn't look good. And Mario did the right thing. You run him up in behind everybody in the elimination, run him up in behind everybody in the final. Tried to get money, but he didn't look good. He didn't. For those of you out there that think you did, you're deceiving yourselves. He did not. And he looked to me like he was tired, right? Now's the time, if you look at his lines, you say Mario's had him his whole life. Okay, so he's at one. I'll tell you how people buy horses, because I've done it my whole life also. Same trainer and driver his whole life. So change is good sometimes, right? You're getting him from a barn that is reputable. You're not getting him from one of those guys. Here's a horse with 4 or 5 wins, 60,000. There's no reason to believe he can't jump up and do him. Maybe a non-winner's a 70 somewhere. He gets allowance in some places also. If you're in Ontario, he gets even more. This is what people look at when they're buying horses from these particular sales or these types of horses. So we had an opportunity where he probably was worth 50 grand. High 40s, 50 anyway, I think. Well, I'll be honest. I raced a horse today that I really liked. That's the first time I ever drove Walk on the Moon. He was very, very good, right? Bounced out of the gate confidently, and I knew what was going on. I was getting away exactly where I wanted to get away. I got the trip that I wanted, and he almost got there. And I'm going to tell you one thing. He wasn't tired today. He was coming to them with vengeance on his mind. He was springing forward, and he looked very good and felt great. I come off the track. I said to Tim, this guy's not going anywhere. This horse feels like $1 million. $1 million. So, yeah, I wanted to see that. And sometimes just a shake-up for a horse like him, right? Taking him away, bringing him a new place. White Tiger does the same thing all the time. Stonebridge Simba does the same thing all the time. They get in a funk, move them somewhere, and sometimes they come to life. And this horse today, this type of racing suits him. One, those are inferior horses to the top echelon of the grassroots that he was racing in. Those are not them, right? At all. Plus, the most important thing, when I look at this horse sitting behind him, you can look at his definition. He's not even close to filled out. He's not even close to what you would call matured. This horse has got a lot in front of him. So I was wrong, but at the same time, looking at the information I had, looking at how he was racing with my own eyes, and the program in front of me, trying to look through that through the lens of a buyer, we were maxing out what he was worth right now. I was wrong. I don't think we are, and he's not going to the Harrisburg sale. I was super, super impressed with this horse today. He looked good, and the most impressive part of him was the fact that he is not matured. He is not filled out at all. There's a lot of growing to do there. And his attitude, come out of the gate and finish the way he did, it's how horses are supposed to race. So, and a testament to how well Mario had this horse, Davey and Mario, how good they took care of him. That's a testament to what they did today. I've sat behind him for 5 minutes in my life. I might have gone with him a couple of times training when he was a baby. I don't know. But my logged time behind Walk on the Moon is minimal. So, Walk on the Moon, I was super impressed with. He's going nowhere. Tipsy and Dixie was great. I underdrove her. I was too conservative today. And I really thought she'd spring out of the gate, and she didn't. The one horse had me beat out, which was a problem, because the 6 and 7 had me beat out. So that means I stay on the outside third and push on to the lead, which I could have done. I didn't want to empty her out right before she went to the sale. I don't want a bad line on Tipsy and Dixie. So in the split second, I see Ronnie Wren. He's trying to get in behind me. He wants to follow me. I said, no, go ahead, Ronnie. And he knew, but what are you going to do? He's not getting in behind me. I'm not letting him in behind me. He's got to get ahead of me. So he gets ahead of me because I want to follow him. He wants to follow me. I want to follow him. He had to push forward into the 4-hole. Now, I really thought Ronnie's horse would take me up closer, get up into striking position, and he didn't. It ended up being a deterrent. His cover was a detriment to me today, and now I wish I had been first over. But that's racing. It didn't work out. She finished up strong. Not a real line. You sell a horse for what she's actually worth. She's worth more than all those other horses. That wasn't the line. Next week, she's going down the road, and that will be the line to sell her on. She's sitting on a mile 2. She felt good today, real good today. If Tim brings her to the track, if Tim brings her to the paddock, the way he brought her there today, she's in the winner's circle in 54 and a piece, 55 on a hot day. It's October, so it's probably not going to be a hot day, but if we happen to get some nice weather next week, big mile coming from Tipsy and Dixie. And Mama knows best. I love Mama. Mama's growing on me. She's just a middle-of-the-road, mediocre, nice trotter. Just a horse that anybody would love to have. And getting a little tired, right? It's been a long year. I got away where I did, I know I moved her twice for the quarter, but they were 2 very soft moves. Crossed over to the front like that. No problem. I didn't even give her head coming into the gate. Just crossed her over, let Aaron go. I know Aaron's horse is longer odds. He's not really one of the horses on my radar, and I know what's about to happen. Goldstones is coming 1,000%. I looked at the TV coming to the half, and I didn't even have to look. I knew who was coming. I just removed her to the front easy, 28 and 4, and I just went as slow, and I just dawdled on the front until Mike came. If I'm second to Mike, a good closing second, awesome. We get down the backstretch. Mike's horse looks a little lethargic on the front end and doesn't trot the turns awesome. So halfway around the last turn, I hear them coming. I look over my shoulder. I'm not really worried about Aaron, right? I still don't think, regardless of what I'm about to do, I'm not worried about Aaron. I'm not worried about Sean Johnson. But Ronnie Wren's coming 3 wide. 1, I want to leave him 3 wide. And 2, I want to get this filly going. She's feeling good. She feels like she wants to get at him today. I moved her over and I growled at her, and it looked like she was going to just charge right past him. She hung out a bit. But, as I said, Mama's a nice horse. She's not a killer. She's not a monster. She's a nice filly. And one, if I had a smaller barn where I could look at a condition sheet at my home track and say, there's a mare that I could race every week in these classes, that would be a horse I would want to have. She's a really nice horse to be around, and she's turned into a rather nice horse to race. So Mama knows best, but again, you guys have to understand where we're coming from. To not sell her now would be a financial mistake, a misstep on my part. We've made them in the past. I'm not making them again. That's where we're coming from with that. Whether it be One My Heart Hanover, I'm a Lovely Lady, Mama Knows Best, we're running out of classes for them in our area. I'm not going to send somebody Mama Knows Best to race in a condition claimer, or non-winners of 40, or non-winners of 6, where she might be 3rd, 4th, 2nd, 1st. If I'm sending a horse somewhere, I want to know that they can at least have a chance to win every week. And this Mama Knows Best is a smaller stable type mare. Somebody's going to fall in love with her after us, but it will be after us. So, Walk on the Moon race great. Tipsy and Dixie race good, underdriven, little undercooked. Mama, I raced her hard, but at the same time, I raced her to win. I want to win that class with her. I don't want to sell her with that, but now that I say it out loud, it may be worth, again, keep in mind, people buying horses are not dumb. They also see the scoreboard, right? They understand that this filly has 3 wins. She fits in hours of 4 everywhere. Here, it's a winners of 2, but not more than 3, which, just call it an hours of 4. Just, whatever. So, Mama fits that class. So it may be worth actually fishing a little bit on gate with her tonight too. Maybe we will do that. Turned into a nice mare, but as I said, her gonna need a rest at some point, and her level of what she's gonna do, not the same as Walk on the Moon. 2 totally different situations. So I know there's gonna be people read into what I said about Walk on the Moon and say, but why can't you do that with Mama? Because you don't understand. It's not the same. You're talking about 2 different engines, 2 different cars, 2 different dealerships. And that's that. So very happy there. Obviously some bad news with Judy today. Judy tied up a little bit, I think. We'll know tomorrow how badly. You can tell. Look at her line. It looked terrible. We scoped her. She scoped clean. There's only one other thing. And she's a known offender for tying up. This is the perfect weather to tie up if you're a filly. Cold, miserable, rainy weather. Yeah, that'll do it. So I don't think it's super high. It didn't look super high. But we'll take her blood tomorrow and see what it is. Work on that. There's another filly, though. She probably can't go to Harrisburg off that line. You know, I thought I was being clever with Judy. 2 weeks after the sale in Harrisburg, she's going to race for $140,000 over 3 weeks. She'd never be worth more in her life than she will be at Harrisburg for the most part. So I just thought I'd be clever and put her in there and see what she brought. But that likely won't happen now. So likely we'll look at her AST, see what it is, and then send her down to Jim King. The only good thing is the maiden at Dover, they just started writing the sheets. The maiden at Dover is, the non-winners of 2 is all Delaware money and wins don't count. Stake wins. So she's a maiden in Delaware. So she's going to head back down to Jim King soon. I think the Harrisburg dream is going to come to an end. We're just going to have to bite the bullet, pay the $1,100 to take her out of the sale. That's the penalty. That's the way it is. If she had went out and trotted in 57 today, finished 3rd, go to the sale, maybe she brings $30,000, $40,000, but that's not going to happen now. So we'll move on. We'll move on from there. So a lot going on with these horses. I'm trying to move our pieces around the chessboard, so to speak, the best we can. I'm also trying to put together all the things we're trying to do for Harrisburg, trying to get everything cleaned up for Lexington. Oh, by the way, I'm trying to drive all over the world for everybody, and I'm trying to make sure we get our horses raced in the best way possible. So thank you to Red Bull today for waking me up. Tomorrow is a new day. You know, once we get through this season, we get the babies home, we get the horses racing regularly at Northfield Park, and here then there'll be less need for Anthony to venture across the border for a bit. So back to normal life at some point, but for now it's still a little chaos, actually a different kind of chaos, a more urgent kind of chaos, where we're trying to get the horses situated for the sale and then go to Harrisburg. So I have been looking through the catalog. I will, if I've missed your email. A lot of emails coming in about Harrisburg, about people wanting to get involved in Harrisburg, which is good. I appreciate that. We will set out the parameters of Harrisburg this week and start moving stuff around and getting people involved. The partnerships have worked well. I told you guys, for those of you out there worried that you were going to get gouged by people that buying into the partnerships, that's not the case. There may be a little markup in some cases, but those horses were worth it. or you wouldn't be interested in them. And I think that's a fair way to look at it. So we've had, rather than me, I told y'all this part. I don't need to go through that. For the most part, not for the most part, absolutely 100%. The partnerships were good for everybody. The market is strong. People are buying horses off the private market and selling the ones they don't want. That's exactly what needed to happen. So I appreciate your partnership. I appreciate your participation in the buckets and in the Ohio and Lexington partnerships. We will have 3 Harrisburg partnerships coming up. Yeah, I don't think there's a necessity to spend it. When I look at I'll look at it again on my iPad, but when I look at the catalog, a little lighter than I thought. So the partnerships will likely be 150, 50, and then we do have a lot of people asking I don't know, you guys are big boys and girls. I preach to you and preach to you. I think that buying expensive horses in most cases is a fool's errand. Yes, so far it looks like we may have lucked out with 3 Point Blue Chip, and there's a lot coming up for him still also. That's not always the case, and I think you guys know that, but it's my job, full disclosure, to tell everybody buying expensive horses is a good way to go broke. But at the same time, a lot of the faster horses are expensive horses too. So I guess that's up to you. That's on you. I think by now, no one should be surprised. This should be a pretty random statement from me, or a pretty regular statement from me, is that this is not necessarily how the stable works. What we see happening is the stable branching in 2 directions, right? You have a little more expensive horses that we have clients that want them. What would you do if you were me? And then we have the core of the stable, which is the way it's always been built. And the way that I work in this side of the stable, by the way, too, in case you're wondering, I can't buy expensive horses like that either. So at the same time, I think there has to be coexistence between the two. And at the same time, I'll always keep shares. Last year, we kept 10 shares aside for people to buy into of 3 Point Blue Chip, and we'll do the same also this year. I think I will, heading into Harrisburg. So reach out to me. Let me know what you want to do. If you want to be a part of any of these partnerships, I think the way to go is 150-50. We don't have to go there and spend a pile of money. 150-50, and then we'll probably look at a horse. I can probably give you 2 I'm looking at right now, and you probably know who they are. A little more expensive horse that'll likely be, again, between $120,000 and $150,000. So let me know what you think. I mean, if people are cooling, I mean, we all only have so much money. I do, you do, everybody does. And if people are cooling on the fall, listen, what you've already done for me is more than enough. I certainly, I don't need to do anything more than we have right now. When I look at what we have, to think that in 6 short years we've gone from an empty stable to the horses we have right now is absolutely incredible. If you guys want to get some horses in Harrisburg, I will. And if you don't, I won't. So we'll leave it at that. I guess that's the best way to look at it. Anyway, thank you very much again today. So day today. Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow we got I'm a Lovely Lady in tomorrow. Tanzanite Tricks in tomorrow. We have a lot of other horses. Our girl Rosie is racing on Thursday. Still tons going on this week into the fall, and then of course the horizon ahead that now is 3 Point Blue Chips, the remainder of his 2021 racing season, which I thought was coming to a close. It looks now that it isn't. So all smiles for me and everybody else associated with him. So it is a crappy day. It's raining everywhere on planet Earth, I believe, but I hope you're having a good day. My day wasn't horrible. Yes, it started off tired. I don't give a shit. I'm fine. I'm perfect now. Won't be the last day I wake up tired. It certainly won't be the last day I go to bed tired. So I hope you guys are having a good day. I will talk to you all very soon. Take care.